I am very excited for this conversation today. Before I introduce our guest, here's a quote just for today. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Our guest kindles, they create bonfires, they create value. They are the founder, a board of advisors, the cultivator of culture, the gatherer of great minds that think in the same way of helping each other grow their businesses, grow their cultures, add value to one another. The creator of a community, one of the best communities that I've seen, that I've ever come across, and a good friend, a friend to not only myself, but to many great people that are creating value in the marketplace where value doesn't exist. Mike Calhoun is here to enlighten us on my big question today. What is an advisor? Thanks for having this conversation.
This is what I like about dealing with, or even engaging, conversing with Jay. He always asks the obvious. The guy that's the advisor asks me who's the advisor or what an advisor is. I find it fascinatingly ironic. So the advisor asking me, all right. So, well, what is advice?
Hmm. Yeah. What is advice?
Yeah, what is it? I mean, because when I look it up, which I don't agree with it, which many things I don't think are 100% true. And then again, that's why we seek advisors, right? We're looking for the truth. But it says advice is an opinion or recommendation offered.
Hmm.
Is that what you think advice is? Is that why do you pay people for their opinion? Because I don't. I really actually don't want their opinion.
What do you want, and what's the value in that? Yeah.
Well, let's do this. If because if you go on like YouTube and you say advisor or what is an advisor, or if you begin poking around, there's really only one answer and one result that pops up. And it's all about financial advisors or financial advising. The what is one? How does it work? I don't think it's a matter of fact, I know it is absolutely not restricted to financial. Financial is a result of a lot of great decisions and behavior over time when you get to the point where you have a responsibility to uh, manage finances, but there's a lot that transpires well before that. So if I were writing the dictionary, which sometimes may be good and sometimes may not be good, so good, but I would actually begin to say, if I were looking for an advisor, I would want someone who had education, experience. I'm doing the math here I'm doing word math. It's actually the next
Hmm.
version past algebra and into uh, more of a world of an advisor. No, education, experience. I would look for um, effort. Somebody who's put a lot of effort into something. I would look for somebody who's put a lot of action into something. Uh, I would be looking for somebody who has invested time, uh, revenue. I'd be looking for someone who has uh, no interest or less interest sometimes in their own initiative and more mine. But then that's not even true. This is tricky actually. So think about this. You're not really looking for somebody's opinion. If we traded out advice and we turned it into add value,
Wow.
right? Because that's really what it is. You break it down like you're adding, that's what they're doing. You're paying an advisor to add. Well, I don't know. Well, what is vice? I mean, I don't know what that is. I mean, if you break it all down, I think it would be adding value. adding value in the format of their prior. Oh, I was going for skill set here as well. This is going to be a little bit of a different show. So they're going to add value with their skill set, their education, their experience, their effort, their action, their time, their revenue, their mind. Their mind is a computer as well that's going to burn energy for you, right? So I think an advisor is somebody that can add value in many different ways. These are just ones I'm coming up with here on the fly, but that's where I would start. Who can add value that aligns with potentially an initiative, a goal, an outcome, an environment? You know, it's definitely not what it says here. It's not an opinion. At least I don't want an opinion. If I want an advisor, I don't want their opinions. What I want is, what have they done that I have not done that I can now leverage for our either my organizational benefit or mutual benefit? I mean, realistically, when it's good for everyone, it's usually good, right? I mean, what do you think?
Let's start with skill. I'm listening to this. How can I start developing skill?
That's actually a really, really good. Did you script this? Because as board of advisors, one thing that I was noticing is it's actually a two-way street, by the way. If you hire an advisor, you need to be also ready for what is going to come from your advisor. Or if you maybe you don't hire them, you establish a relationship. If you're not ready, whether it's the skill, the action, the time, the revenue, the education, experience, effort, their mind or brain power working for you, like if you're not ready to receive it, you have to be at a point where you're also it's a chemical reaction, right? It's two part. A lot of people waste their time hiring people who have opinions and none of this stuff. And they also invest in people who have this stuff, but they're not receiving, right? They're not leveraging what they're getting, because what they're really doing is they're looking for someone to agree with them. They're looking for someone to put gas in their tank, sometimes even from an ego standpoint, tell them that they're right, tell them that they're great. You know, they're not really looking for what they actually need, which is the eyes in the back of their head. That's why you're so good, right? You're great. You watch, you listen, you break it down, you see the animal move, and then you provide you know what it is? It's feedback. It's a feedback loop. That's what an advisor is. An advisor is a feedback loop that brings through that loop everything we just talked about here, omitting opinions. Now they can throw the opinion in, but that's like sprinkles and cherries on top of the cake. That's just like for fun.
If I were to undermine my skill building, how would I go about doing that?
If you were to undermine your skill building, you mean as an advisor?
One, listening in the pursuit of being that better version of themselves to others, that better servant, that more competent
Yeah, I
professional.
mean, here's the difference here. Like, because people are going to get confused. You have coaches, right? You have consultants, right? You have mentors, right? You have advisors. A coach standing on the sidelines of your life is somebody that's going to be there during game time, going to be there during practice, going to be there to coach and bring you along and make you better. Many times the coach hasn't even done what you're doing. They're just there so that you abide by the principles that make you better. Doesn't mean they've even been a soccer player or a weightlifter. They're just your coach. They know from a skill set or an information standpoint. And that's the other thing too. Advisory is not information. We'll get into that at the end of this, because you're going to have unlimited information, especially with AI. AI is going to give you unlimited information, which is going to concentrate down on what advisory really is, what an advisor really is at the very end, because a lot of this is like, bring the information to the table so we can make better decisions. No, that's not advice or advising. So a coach, then you have a consultant. A consultant's tricky. A consultant is like a coach that's maybe just a little better. Would you agree? A little more skill, a little more experience. Like a good consultant, you would think has probably done what you're doing and is going to be there for you like a coach, but is also bringing experience. Then you have a mentor. A mentor is like next level to a consultant. Why? Because a mentor is bringing wisdom. They're bringing experience, definitely bringing experience. You can't be a mentor and not have done it, right? You could be a coach, not have done it. You could be maybe a consultant, not have done it. Mentor, because respect. You don't always respect your coach, but you know he's going to get you to the goal if he's any good, right? A mentor, you respect, and you respect them because they've done it, because they've proven it, because they have the accoutrements of the outcome that you're looking for, whether it's success. It doesn't always have to be success, but they've achieved the outcome for the most part that you're looking for. And you respect that, you admire that. And there is also usually a relationship, not always with a coach, and definitely not always with a consultant, because most people, I would see consultants as temporary relationships, but mentors usually are long-term relationships based on respect, trust, and experience, right? Admiration, that's a very rich attribute of a mentor. Then you get into an advisor. The advisor's at the top, not because it starts with A. The advisor is the one, see, a mentor, that's like your buddy. You call him, he respects you, you respect him. An advisor is the one that is now, they're the pinnacle. You know why? Many times there isn't that rich, fluffy relationship like there is with a mentor. An advisor is the guy you pick up, and I'm going to say guy, the person, the individual. You pick up the phone, you make the call, you send a text, they send the answer, you say thank you, and you keep moving. This is the advisor, is where all of it concentrates down into, because sure, they can be a coach, they can be a consultant, and they could be a mentor, but it's usually under a hyper compression and concentration of these attributes that we just named. And there's very little wasting of time, because the thing that an advisor usually brings is their investment of time into your life, so that you now don't have to do it. You do not have to make that investment. You get to pick up where they left off. The advisor is it's like a razor cutting through to getting you to the next move. If we look at the chess table here, right? An advisor, a coach, they're going to want to teach me and tell me and bring, no, too much time. Don't have time for it. A consultant, they're going to want to tell me all about this. Mentor's probably going to want to play, chess with me every set. I don't want to play chess every Saturday. I need an advisor to tell me, I got this guy over here, this girl, I want to win. What's the move? How do I do it? Where do I go? I actually don't sometimes even want the relationship. What I do want is I want the answer. I want the experience, right? It's a highly productive relationship when done correctly. And it's many times a relationship based around a transaction, because there is extreme value. Because the person you're getting the advice from may not even be somebody you agree with. Think about it. If I wanted to know how to rob a bank and get away with it, then I would get the best advice from the individual that has done it the most and never gotten caught. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but it means I know that that one would be the one to give me the answers. I don't need a coach. A coach has probably never done it. A mentor is probably going to tell me not to do it, right? The advisor, I'm going to usually transact in some format of value, and they are going to give me what I need. And inside of that, there is an expectation that there's going to be skill, action, time, revenue, education, experience, effort, brain power, all of it coming across to me in a way that is true, that is real, because there's a transaction, right? The advisor, many times, it's not a board of directors, it's a board of advisors. The directors are usually now part of the company, the organization. The advisor usually is not, because you are genuinely leveraging every bit of everything they've ever done and can bring to the table for an exchange of value. That's why it's so valuable. It's, I want you to add your value to me. Therefore, I'm going to give you concentrated value in the form of whatever they want. Do they want Bitcoin? Do they want dollars? Do they, what is it that they want? Because what I need is I need their value that's coming to me that I can't get anywhere else. Because you can get the money anywhere else. You can get anything, like, think about it. You pick an advisor, you're saying you have something that I can't get anywhere else. That's why I'm going to give you something that you can go get anything you want with. I'll give you money so you can go get anything you want, right? Because you've got something that I want that I can't get anywhere else. That's an advisor. Like, that's an advisor. And that, you know what's so funny about it? Usually that is something that can happen fast. And it's not slow, lethargic, time intense. I mean, think about it. I'm looking at these relationships here with coaches and consultants and mentors. I mean, like, that's a lot of relationship overhead and time and learning. You're not learning. An advisor, they're not teaching you. They're giving it to you. Now you have a responsibility to use it. You've paid for it. You've given them value. They're giving you, they're adding their value back to you. The interesting part is, once it crosses over to the plate, the individual that says, I want an advisor, in their mind, didn't actually understand what they were asking for, because they many times want that advisor to do it with them, do it for them. That's a whole different relationship. I gave you exactly what you needed. If I get, Mike, I need, who would I talk to about raising capital? Oh, here you go. There's the guy's number. His name's Jim. Talk to him. Bob, Sue, Sally. Oh, wait. So you're going to go talk to him, but then you also need me to help you do it. Well, that's not like, I think people get caught up in and lost in their relationship with an advisor, right?
How so?
Well, think about it. If you were to sit before a board of advisors, how long do you think you're going to sit in a meeting? If it's a board of advisors meeting for any company, anywhere on the planet at any time, how long is that meeting going to last? Generally.
Couple hours.
Okay. Then what?
Leave.
Where are those advisors going? Home. Gone. There you go. Do it. See, that's the problem. Most people don't do it. They got the knowledge, they received the value, but they treated value like information. It's not information. It's the next move. Information is on the internet. It's Siri, go get me the information, right? Advisory is like value smashed together with strategy and somebody pointing you in the right direction that says the gold is right over there. Why? Because they've already been over there. But they're going to leave the meeting. They're going to jump off the call. They're out of the text. See, many times the relationship with the advisor doesn't work because they needed a coach. They needed a consultant. They needed a mentor. They needed a babysitter. They needed a hand holder. They weren't ready. They weren't ready. That is a professional transaction. That is an agreement. That there is an expectation when you stand before a real board of advisors or a real advisor to perform. What's the best compliment you can give your advisor? I'm going to ask myself my own questions here. Yeah. Why? I don't know. They're good. If you take action on their adding value, their advice, right? Their add value to you, you take action on it and you run with that ball and you create the outcome that they already know is possible. They've already done in their own life, right? You paid for it. You invested. People want to be an investor. You invested. You got the value. You created the outcome. Now you have an opportunity to create a relationship with the advisor where maybe you're getting a little more of them than you did when you were getting the transaction done with them, right? Now, because anybody can create the transaction. An advisor understands the cold hard truth of this is a transaction, right? And I, for that, will care about you enough to give you all of my experience, all of my gold, all of my everything in the most honest format, right? Because that is what you need from me. You don't need anything else. You're paying and investing for that. But you want to get more out of an advisor? Go create the outcome that they told you were possible. You just proved you're worthy. Right? A little different.
Wow.
You're now worthy of that advisor potentially investing in you more than you're investing in them. That's where the professional takes over, where they know this is somebody I want on my side. This is somebody I want in my world. This is somebody, if I text and I get the answer, I don't need the, so do you need the answer or do you need the explanation? Hey, there's people I can text. I don't even want the explanation. You know why? It would be insulting to them. If I text Ed and said, Ed, here's what, and he hit me back, and I said, well, can you explain that? There would be no answer, right? There's not going to be a response to that. He's going to think I lost my mind. Why would he need to explain himself? What if he needed to explain it? Then that means I shouldn't have asked him the question. I should have went to somebody else, right? The relationship, a real relationship with an advisor is a very peculiar thing. It's very exacting when done right.
is part of the value of having a board of advisors have to do with the exponential possibilities of, if I'm thinking advice, add value, I'm investing in a community, a board. I'm not investing in just one relationship of value, but dozens or infinite.
You know, you said
Can you
something
unpack
earlier.
it?
Yeah, you said something earlier. You said skill, right? And I just had a thought. As somebody comes through the door of board of advisors, see, it's a very interesting dynamic because people want to hire the board to leverage everything we just talked about from all the individuals. Technically, that's the way it's supposed to work. But what training, there's actually advisory around how to leverage the board of advisory that should be implemented as the member comes through the door. Because two things, if they're going to get out of the board of advisors what they're looking for, first off, what are they getting? Remember, it's not coaching, consulting, mentor, it's advice, it's adding value. So what value are they getting? Do they know how to ask for it? And do they know what to do with it when they get it? Right? So that's their get. But their give is also, how are they giving the same value when it's theirs to be harvested by somebody else? Right? So it's actually an environment where there is max leverage, ultimate leverage. It's stacking the deck with a couple hundred amazing individuals that bring all of these attributes to the table from every single different environment you can possibly imagine. Worlds of time, energy, effort, and revenue. I mean, just now as I look at it, now I understand why they stumble, because they're not a professional at pulling that value out of the value stack. That deck is stacked and they don't know how to get the card out of that deck that they need. It just
How
hit me.
do I give value,
Well, in what
especially
format?
under the stress of the natural stress of feeling in need of value? So that's my question. How do I give value, especially under the exacting stress of feeling as though I need value?
Well, let's just go back to the definition. Definition says it's an opinion. So, according to the encyclopedia, how do you give value? You give your opinion. I don't agree. I don't agree. I actually don't agree at all. We're going to rewrite that. Let's get some white out and we're going to take white out and we're going to put it in that encyclopedia and we're going to get rid of opinion because it's not an opinion. Think about it. How do I give value? The most valuable sheet of paper ever to exist, the one with the list on it, right? Well, let's see. Are you bringing any education to the table? Some of these guys are highly educated. That is concentration of value because that takes a lot of time, energy, effort, and money. It takes money to get education. It takes time, energy, effort to get experience. It's action, time, revenue, skills, brain power. You could probably make a better list. Just think about it. What is value? If you had a list, what is value? And then you say, how do I give it? So how do I give time? Okay, time. Everybody says, I exchange dollars so that I can buy time. I was watching Grant Cardone today. Grant, I love you, buddy. He's talking about, I buy time because I have a jet and I spend $3 million a year on the jet so that I can buy time so that I'm getting more out of my life So that jet is worth $3 million to me because I get more time and experiences out of my life because of the jet. So it's worth it, right? So how does an advisor give time? Correct? Well, guy yesterday on the phone says, Mike, I've got all these systems and I've hired all these mentors and coaches. And he goes, I have one client, one big one. One big client eats up about 30 hours a week. But by the time I spend 30 there and 5 or 10 on the mentors and 5 or 10 on this before and networking, he goes, I'm doing networking and I'm doing social media and I'm doing all this stuff, but I don't have any time to get these clients over here where I can have more clients that don't eat up as much of my time, right? It's a little different model. I just can't get to that. Okay. So he's trying to get time. So if I'm a good advisor, I give him time. I tell him exactly how to get time. Or I either give him a concentrated version of my time, right? Which means I could have learned how to do this and had the experience, and I could just tell him the right move to make in chess. That would be, in a sense, giving him my time, or I can tell him how to get his time, right? Here's how you get your time. Actually do none of this shit that you're actually doing. I said, all your networking, if you're not treating your networking like going to the grocery store, because when you go to the grocery store, you have a list, right? Are you getting milk? Are you getting eggs? Are you getting bread? Do you know what you're getting? Because I don't think you've ever gone to the grocery store without knowing what you're getting. Oh, and maybe you have, what's for dinner, but you're going with a list. If you go out and go networking without a list ever again, you don't need to go. You don't even know what you're going for. Because I know what I'm going for. I'm going for decision makers. Hi, are you a decision maker? Oh, no, I'm not. I work for Jim. Okay, cool. Where's Jim? Introduce me. That's the guy I'm looking for, the decision maker. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm looking for. So unless you know what you're going to network for, do not go. Social media. I said, what are you doing on social media? What are you doing? The only thing that matters on social media is proof. And right now you have zero proof. You have one client that you don't even like. So you don't have anything to talk about on social media. So anything you're doing on social media, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Matter of fact, you don't even like what you're doing on social media because it's not even real. So I said, get off of social media, stop networking, and all these systems that you're building, do you have an offer? He goes, well, I'm still working. Okay, so you're building all these systems around an offer. You don't even know what it is. So stop building all your systems and let's get an offer. How about that? Then he goes, well, what do I do with these mentors? I said, what are you doing? How did you get so many mentors? Like a mentor is a special relationship that comes along very seldom in life. Like how the hell did you get so many? Like, you must be amazing because mentors investing in you this many hours a week, like what are you paying them? Because this is not a mentor. So he has all these coaches and consultants that he signed up for. I said, you know what you need to tell them to do? You need to tell them to get on your calendar, not you on their calendar. There's a big difference because if they're a mentor, they'll get on your calendar because they care about you. If they're a coach or a consultant, you're on their calendar. So now we just eliminated all 4 of his excuses on why he can't get anything done. I just gave him all his time back. He's now only investing 30 hours a week into the one client that he doesn't like. Then we gave him a relationship that can put that down to 15 hours. So now he's only at 15 hours. You know what he's going to do with his 15 hours? Again, I gave him his time because I gave him his calendar. I told him what to do with it. You know what? I said, get all this crap off your calendar because none of it is getting you the outcome that you're asking for. And that's what you're complaining about. And I want you to go schedule one appointment right now. Go schedule it right now. You know what that appointment was? an invitation. So go schedule the invite to the call that you're going to have with every person you think you can help. Right? And invite your mentors. I'll be amazed which ones show up. So now you have a calendar invite. You have your calendar free, other than that one client. You have a calendar invite. You're going to start packing every single person that you think you can help onto that calendar invite. And he goes, well, oh my God, now I need to prepare a presentation for them. I mean, right? Like, would you be prepared with a presentation? How about we do this? How about we survey them, because you think you can do certain things for them. So how about we survey them? We ask some great questions, just like BA, right? Better answers. Maybe the best answers come from the best questions. So we ask them great questions around, if I think I can deliver X, and all of these individuals I think I can help with X, and these mentors believe that I'm good at doing the delivery of X, how do you feel about getting that? How much of that would you like? How fast would you like it? What value do you see on that? Right? So by the time he asks 10, 12 great questions, you know what he has? He has it's just like going to the Waffle House. He has his order of exactly what they want. So now he gets to go build his offer that he still hasn't built, that they just built for him. And he gets to let them ask him questions. Why? Because if they didn't answer his questions great, he will be able to tell by the questions that they ask him what that offer needs to be as well. So he's just going to do a little survey. He's not even allowed. Matter of fact, he's going to tell them, leave your credit card at home. I don't even want it. Don't even care what it is. And I'm selling you nothing. I'm presenting to you nothing. I'm interviewing you. Oh, wow. So now we're interviewing. Who doesn't like to be interviewed, right? So we just gave this guy all of it. We gave him his entire calendar back. Why? How? I mean, the guy, like, that's how you add value. So look, that was the thing you asked me, going back to it. We got lost on a rabbit trail, but now he's going to get everything he really needs because he just got great advice. He just got great add value, right? So if time is one of these attributes here, okay, and we made the list and we just picked it, okay, so how do we get that person their time back? That's how we do value. Pick another one. Revenue, effort, experience. Experience is a good one. How do we get them experience? How do you give experience if you're going to be on the board of advisors?
How many relationships would you say the average amount of quality relationships in a member? How many relationships does a member have
How
on
many
average
relationships do they
in
think
their
they have?
life? Separate the distinction, right? Think versus actually have.
And I guess you would need to put one more qualifier on that. Like, how many relationships do they have? Is that like how many girlfriends or boyfriends do they have? How many relationships do they have that people would give them time, energy, and effort without getting anything back? Like, give me some sort of qualifier.
Working relationships, people that have either done business with them or worked with them or know them well enough to have a deep enough connection with them to refer them to someone. Relationships that working either directly or indirectly.
You know, that's a
How
good
many
question.
relationships
That's a
do
good
you
question.
think the average
Matter of fact, that's a great question
member
on how
has?
these people should qualify each other. You know, how many people have you hired? You know what I mean? That right there will tell you a lot. Oh, you've hired like 12 people. Okay. Or you've hired about 1,200 people. Oh, you've hired 12,000. Now, just because you've hired, maybe the CEO gets to a point where, or the owner founder gets to a point where they're obviously not hiring anybody. When I say hire, worked for them, you know what I mean? Somebody works for you, you're the owner, founder, CEO. They're like, that's a relationship there that you've got with your people. With good, bad, ugly, whatever. So that's a relationship. Then you have, how many partners have you had? How many people have you partnered with? How does that work out? Do you still have any of them? Oh, so you've partnered with six, let's call it six people, half a dozen people. But none of them talk to you anymore at all, and you're at odds with all of them. Oh wow, that's interesting. Okay. So that just told me not to partner with you. Right? Like relationships, I think it's important to classify when you say relationships, how many times have you been married? Oh, 3 times. Okay. Well, so realistically, when you look at a relationship, you can instantly tell a lot about the other human.
The reason I'm asking is you mentioned experience. So I'm not, I would like your thoughts on this. Am I my own personal experience to my counterpart, or am I my own personal experience and potentially the experience of everyone that I've collected throughout my life? That's why I'm asking how
Again,
many
I think
relationships do I have.
I
If
look at
I
it like
call
this.
Mike, he's going to be able to introduce me to 39 special people that I otherwise would never likely meet that would be so into culture and Jay. So that's where
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going with this.
So let's take just everybody listening right now. Take your phone and just go to contacts, right? I'm going there myself. And I literally have like 5,000 people in my phone. Okay. Some of them I don't even recognize. I mean, they're in this is the most personal device that I've had ever in my life, right? This phone. So, I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of these. I don't even, there's so many. I mean, I'm looking at one right now from 2004, one from, geez, high school. Like JT Fox is in here with, I mean, I'm just running some, like JT, I haven't spoken to him in forever. If I called him, I don't even know if he would recognize my number because I haven't nurtured that relationship, right? I mean, which I should be nurturing that one. I'll put that down. But I'm looking at people that have worked for me, and here's my brother, right? I'm looking for here's an unbelievable prospect doing $250 million a year. I haven't talked to him in a couple of months. That's a problem, right? So when you say relationships, I think there's a lot of people that know a lot of people, and they're stood up all over their board of life. Like if this table represented the board of life for Mike Calhoun or anybody, like that phone has a lot of people in it, and there's a lot of relationships. Most of them are, most of them for the average person, I'm in a little different situation because of our model and our organization. And when you have a presence or a brand and people, a reputation for getting things done, then you're a little more valuable. So people respond quicker because, hey, Mike Calhoun, CEO of boardofadvisors.com. I've got something for you, but what I need you to do is I need you to respond to me. Oh, okay. That's a little different. But for the average individual, they've touched and come across the path of individuals, but none of them are really lined up in their world. You know what I mean? It's like they're not activated in their world. They know them or of them or have met them or went to church with them, but there's no alignment. Okay. If I call them or you call them, are they going to respond? Because that means they're on your team. That means they care. If they don't respond, you don't have a relationship. You just know of them. They know of
Mm.
you, you know of them, but they're not on your team. You want to know if somebody's on your team? Text them. Tell them it's important. Give me a call.
From your experience of those outside of the community, their average, all right, I'm going to text them. What's their average response?
Well,
In
I mean,
numbers
again, I'm dealing
versus
with a
those in
very
the community.
interesting animal. I mean, again, I'm dealing with a very interesting animal. These are owners and
If
founders
you
or
were to,
CEOs.
yeah,
They,
what's
they,
your
they-
intuition say? How many relationships?
I mean, in their world,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
in they're in
Each
the
unique
hundreds. They're in the
person,
hundreds. They've activated hundreds, right? There are hundreds of people that these people can make a call to that will respond. I mean, they have teams, they have
200.
they have executives, they have clients. I mean, think about it. Like Ty Crandall, they've had 60,000 clients on their platform over the years, and he's the owner, and they know him. The interesting part now this is a dichotomy. The interesting part, he might not know them, but they know him. See, they have a relationship with him that he doesn't even have with them. That's wild. And that's where we're getting into influence. That's power, that's influence. You're asking more about who do we have a mutual relationship with? How many do they have a mutual relationship with where they feel like they're actively in their world on a regular, consistent basis? That's not, I mean, that I would
If you were
say
to guess, what would you
on
say?
average, they're probably dealing with 3 to 5 dozen based
Okay,
on the
if I,
context of
so that's 90.
your question. Yes.
Yeah. So 96 divided by 2 is 48 times, let's say, 200, which is 9,600. 9,600 in your equation of experience. If I'm a part of a board of advisors, I have 9,600 warriors at my back. Thoughts?
Oh, you're saying if there is on average, just say 50, say if there's 200 members with 50 relationships apiece. Is that what you're
Where
saying?
they text them back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see.
Because you mentioned experience. I'm not just my experience.
You're saying the leverage that a member would have based on an average member's activated relationships that are
If I
currently
called
being nurtured.
Barbara right now, who saved me from the foster system, you
Yep.
would get 85 years of her experience,
Yeah.
which I definitely will introduce you to her.
Well, I mean, I like where you're
That's my
going.
curiosity. What does that do for somebody's business life in their pursuit to be an advisor and a part of a community bigger than themselves?
So I like where you're going, because if we put down, we have, I'm gonna just backtrack here. We have skill, we have time, we have action, effort, we have experience. We have education. We have relationships. That's the number one, by the way, that everybody, relationships. We have their resources. We have their Rolodex. Because a relationship is one thing, but a Rolodex is like they have a Rolodex of all of these individuals. Relationships are a little tighter. Then we have the brain processing power, education. I think I got most of mine here, and there's more, but these are the ways that they add value, right? Because it's not advice, it's add value. What you're saying is quantifying if there's, let's just say it on increments of 100 members. So per 100 members, if they have an activated 50 on average close relationships, and then a number of certain resources, and then a certain Rolodex and a certain amount of it, think about it, time. They've put 25 years into retail management, or, you know, say 12 years into becoming a psychiatrist or a doctor. I mean, when you have the cumulative amount of education and effort and time and experience and relationships and resources, and you're starting to do those multiples for per every 100 person on average, yeah, now you need to be a professional on extracting value, because there's so much value. If you don't know what you're getting or wanting, if you don't know what you're going to the store for, you're just going to be in value overload. That's the problem. There's too much value. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like if I just randomly jumped out of an airplane at, 50,000 feet over an ocean, and it's, however many feet deep. There's so much water, like it's too much. What are we going to do? What are we doing with all of this value? Where do we put it? How do we leverage it? Because realistically, like, you're not looking for all of that value. You have your outcome. Your outcome is this. You want this, right? Like, if this is value, or this is the outcome, I need this little tiny skill set and this moment in time where this person learned this thing and this one little relationship. Like, I need almost pin dots out of all of it to get me my outcome. I think I've just created my new product. It's going to be called the value filter. For those of you who don't know how to get value out of a sea, the deep sea of value, we will create that value filter for you. It'll be done for you value. Done for you advisory by running the patented, trademarked value, the value filter with IP that extends from years of experience and brain. But no, I'm kidding.
Is it, final question, is it worth it, the pursuit of becoming and being a part of the advisor, the board of advisors?
Well, again, you have to be valuable enough to even be at or on the board, right? Like, if you're not able to be in a board seat and bring value, there's an exchange there. It's almost a handshake deal, right? That I'm bringing my value so that I can harvest potentially somebody else's value. So my value is on the table, right? So is it worth it? I guess the question is, are you worth it? Are you worth, like, did you do the work to be valuable enough to be there? Because if you're not, then no, you're not going to know it. First off, yes, it's going to be, yes, it exists and it's worth it. But realistically, you can't get there because part of that deal is you being valuable enough to them, right? But if you haven't done enough to become valuable, you don't even know what to do with what's sitting in front of you at the board of advisors. Like, you're now not a pro, you're a novice, you're learning, and now you are a spectator. Now this is a show for you. This is now like a talent show. This is entertainment. It's like watching Shark Tank, right? It's American Idol. You're now being entertained. You're in the audience seat. You're not in the different word, A words, right? not 4-letter A words, they're just audience and advisor, right? So are you in the audience or are you an advisor? That's good. I'm going to write that. I'm writing that one down.
Mike,
That's good.
thank you. Everyone listening, I challenge you, listen to our next dialogue. We go deeper into this question and more relevant to the future of your life and your business. And we will see you next time.
I had a thought.